Welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast with your host, Chris Anderson. In this show, Chris and his guests will share their knowledge and experience on how to go from zero to successful entrepreneur. They have built their businesses from scratch and are now ready to give back to those who are just starting. Let's get ready to learn, grow, and elevate our businesses. And now, your host, Chris Anderson.
Welcome back to the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host. And today I want to recap my big 3 takeaways from an event I was at recently down in Orlando, UnleashU Now event hosted by Michael Faber. Again, shout out to the team there at UnleashU. Amazing what they're doing. Their ultimate goal is to bring awareness and to help prevent suicides in the world among men. And it's just a great cause. So if you don't know Michael Faber or the UnleashU team, definitely check them out. Get connected. They're doing great things, and the event was awesome. It was a men's retreat down in Orlando, and I had the humble honor to speak and share at the event along with some other amazing speakers. And so it was a lot to take in. Not only was I there to connect with people, meet new people, but learned so much and gleaned so much off of other people. And so the flight home, things like that, the drive back, just thinking of everything that I took in. I had notes, and there's just a lot. But the high level of the event, there are 3 main things that really stuck out to me that I wanted to share with you on this episode. So tune in. It's going to be a shorter episode, but I want to get to these 3 things I want to recap from the event that stuck out to me most. The first is you've got to get out there. Get to events, get to networking things, get to things in your community where you can meet new people who are like-minded, who have a mission, who are successful, who are more successful than you, who are smarter than you, and shake hands and meet people. I hadn't been to an event in person in a while, and so this one was the first one back in quite a while. I think maybe a year and a half, maybe it's 2 years. I honestly can't remember the last one I went to. And getting to the event reminded me of the importance of human interaction. Being in person with people, even if you don't know them, being able to talk to people face to face. And that's why I like recording in-person episodes. And that's why we're going to start doing more of those. You just get a better connection. You get a better conversation. And that's the first big thing that really came to my mind was the importance of getting to these events. Virtual are great, definitely make things a little bit easier logistically, but nothing beats an in-person event. And I recommend to you, find one to go to. So look ahead to the next 12 months. See what events you're capable of going to. Maybe locally, there are some going on. Maybe there are some close driving distance you can manage. Maybe you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone and go a little distance to get to the event and invest in yourself, invest in your business by doing that. But it's so crucial. You learn so much. You grow so much, even in a short amount of time, if you're willing to go and be involved and immerse yourself and learn from anyone. And so that's the first one. Get into in-person events. Get out there, connect with people in person. It's so crucial for your personal development and for your business growth. The second thing that really stuck out to me at a high level from the event was that everyone has a story. And the majority of people's stories, you would have no idea. You would have no idea what people have been through, what they're going through, what they're working towards without connecting with them. But everyone has a story, and their origin story looks different than yours. Their current story looks different than yours, and the story that they're writing is going to look different than yours. And so with that comes the ability for you to learn how to have more empathy with people. When you see someone, and this is something I have to work on, if someone flies past me on the highway and cuts me off or just driving weird or whatever it is, and I start to get upset, can I put myself in their shoes first? Because I don't know their story. I don't know if they are rushing to an emergency of a loved one. I don't know if they're rushing to pick up their kids. Who knows? Like, you don't know. They could just be having a really bad day, a bad week, a bad month. And so they're not in a good spot. So if you can understand everyone has a story, you can empathize a little bit more with people. And one thing that I learned within this at the event was that when we have these emotions, negative emotions come up because someone is doing something, looking from the perspective of how is that me? What part of me is causing myself to have those negative emotions, quote unquote negative emotions? Is there something I'm dealing with that's causing that to be the forefront of my thoughts or my reactions? And so it shifts your perspective on being angry at someone to reflecting on what part of me causes that to come to the surface. But everyone has a story. And so before you judge someone, before you make assumptions, I know we all have biases, but before you get into all of that, try to take a step back and learn someone else's story, or be open to hearing their story, or just be open to understanding that they have a story that makes them who they are. And I think if we can do that, I think the world would be a better place. There'd be a lot more empathy. There'd be a lot more grace. There'd be a lot more understanding. It doesn't give people excuses to do bad things. It doesn't give me the right to do anything bad, whatever my story is. But it allows us to take a second look and take a second thought before we're quick to cast judgment or make an assumption. So that was the second big thing. And I heard a lot of stories. I heard a lot of people's stories at the event. And one, to share a story and to be transparent and open with people you don't necessarily know, maybe the ones you just met, to be able to do that because of the healing you're trying to get to, or the process you're trying to work through, takes a lot. And don't forget that your story matters. Your story makes a difference. And you might not think there's a reason for you to share your story, but I guarantee if you're in a situation and you have the opportunity to share your story, someone needed to hear it for whatever reason. Maybe you sharing your story allows someone else to have the courage to share theirs, to open up about something that they're dealing with that they haven't done so, that now they can. And because of that, they can take the steps to healing. Maybe you sharing your story helps someone else who's down and struggling because they're in the same position in some way. And that makes them feel like and know that they're not alone in the fight, in the struggle, that they've got someone else that they connect with, that they can hopefully start having conversations with to support and build each other up. So your story matters. So if you get the opportunity to share it, don't let the fear keep you from doing that. Because I guarantee someone there in that moment needs to hear your story. Your story has power. It has weight. It matters. Just like you matter. So that was the second big thing. Everyone has a story and stories matter. And the third thing that I learned and took away from the event at a high level is that you need to get into rooms that you're not the most successful and you're not the smartest, because those rooms, although they make you uncomfortable, it made me uncomfortable, although it might make you feel uncomfortable, those rooms are going to help you grow the most. And I tell you what, at this event, I learned something from every individual there. Doesn't matter what level of business they are, no business, doesn't matter what their personal life was, where they're at in life. Everyone, man, I learned from everybody. And I was uncomfortable. To be transparent, I definitely wasn't the smartest in the room. My goodness, I heard from some really intelligent people. And I'm just like, whoa, the knowledge they have on their subjects, on subjects that I barely scratched the surface of, that pride and ego is what makes me feel uncomfortable. We all want to be the best. We want to be, the top. But not being that, you're either going to shut off and close off to the ability to learn and take that in because your ego gets in the way, or you're going to feel uncomfortable through those learnings. And man, I was uncomfortable, but it was cool because I learned so much. My mind was just like exploding from everything I was learning. And then not being the most successful in the room. Dude, man, there are guys doing work in their businesses. Michael and the team at UnleashU now, like decades building to get where they're at. A guy named Bobby, man, just killing it in sales with his business, and hearing his story of how he's built his business from scratch made me uncomfortable because I'm not where I want to get yet. When I'm not making that revenue and I'm not closing that many sales. So it made me uncomfortable because I wasn't the best. And that's okay. We can be uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. But I learned from them things that I could do to progress business. I learned things that I could do and need to do to get to that next level. And it was humbling and it was awesome. It was uncomfortable in my mind because of that ego. But man, if you can let that ego down and get in rooms and actually listen and take in and want to take action on what you're learning from people who are farther along in business, who are smarter than you, and say, hey, this sucks. It's uncomfortable, but man, is it awesome. Because when you can do that, you're going to get to the next level so much faster. But if you let that pride and ego, like I could have done, just close me off and be like, okay, zone out instead of being attentive and trying to learn, I'm not gaining anything. It doesn't matter. They're not going to care because they're doing the things to get to where they are and they're going to the next level. So if you shut yourself down because of pride and ego, you're only hindering yourself and all those people that you're meant to help. So we got to lay aside that ego and pride and get in rooms that we don't feel like we belong in, and we don't feel like we match up, because we shouldn't. Those people are ahead of us. They know more. They've done more research on that topic. It's okay. It's okay to say that. That was the third big takeaway. Be okay being uncomfortable by not being the smartest or most successful in the room. It's definitely an ego check, and it's okay. You're not always going to be the smartest and most successful. And if you are, you should be leading that room like these guys were. And then like these guys were, they're getting in rooms that they're not the top dog in. So it's just a process. But that was the third big one. So I hope that you're able to take something away from these top 3 recaps that I had from the UnleashU event this weekend in Orlando. Again, thank you to Michael Faber and the team for putting that on. And so just take this, share it with someone if it can support them and help them move on forward in their journey. But until next time, go out, continue to elevate your life, elevate your brand, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Elevate Media Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. See you in the next episode.